Hey, are you taking the August 23rd, 2025 digital SAT and want to know what might be on the test? Luckily, that's exactly what I'm going to talk about in this video. My name is Kristina of Ivy Lounge Test Prep. For the last 15 years, I've helped high schoolers all around the globe dramatically raise their SAT and ACT test scores and ultimately land spots at the colleges of their dreams. So in today's video, I'm going to walk you through 10 different predictions for question types and concepts that I think you're probably going to see on the August SAT. Let's dive in. So, the first prediction for what I know is going to show up on the August 23rd digital SAT, because it shows up, frankly, on every single test, is going to be a sentence completion question. You have these at the beginning of every single reading writing module, right? I do think, though, you are going to see at least one problem, if not more, where one of the words is going to have a secondary meaning that you might not be familiar with, and that's the key to getting the question correct. As you might recall with the sentence completion questions, if you have followed any of my videos, they're the first ones in every single reading writing module. They have a blank. They always ask the exact same question, always worded in the same way. And what that question stem is which choice completes the text with the most logical and precise word or phrase. So that happens every single time. And if you have followed any of my videos, then you definitely know my psychic method for how to do them. If you don't know what I'm talking about with my psychic method for how to do these vocab or these sentence completion questions, don't worry, I'm going to include a link below to my free masterclass. It's roughly an hour long, and it's the 3 biggest mistakes to avoid on the digital SATs reading and writing section and how to fix them. So check that out in the link below. Now, what I think is going to happen on this test is you will have one or more questions in which the vocab words, it's not that you've never seen the words before. You have. You know all of them. The issue is, what do you mean, frank, in that way? Or what do you mean, exhaustive, in that way? It's not maybe how you would use it. So many words have secondary meanings, and they maybe are figurative when you're used to using the word literally. So I'm going to share my screen and show you an example of this type of question. Now, here's what's going to happen. You can pause, you can actually do the question, write it down or keep it in your notes. And then at the end of this video, I'm going to give you answers to all 10 of the questions that we look at. Okay, so check it out. Okay, so here is an example. And notice, you know that it is, in fact, one of these sentence completion questions because it has the exact same question stem I mentioned. Which choice completes the text with the most logical and precise word or phrase? And more importantly, it's the very first type of question you will run into in the reading writing modules. Barring major archaeological discoveries, we are unlikely to ever have blank account of ancient Egypt under the female pharaoh Hatshepsut, as much of the evidence of her reign was deliberately destroyed by her successors. So pause, do this question, and then we will move on to the next. Okay, so the second type of question that I know you are going to come across is a traditional reading comprehension question, but it's specifically going to ask either the main idea or the main purpose of the text. So it's going to be a big picture about what you're reading. A thing with main idea is that if my English teacher had given me this, whatever answer choice it is you're looking at, as the title of what she wanted me to write, would this paragraph be an acceptable response for me to turn into her? That might be a way of thinking about main idea. Main purpose of a text is, what was the thing the author wanted me to understand? What did the passage do? Did it explain something? Did it argue against something? Did it give examples of something? What was the basic thing it was doing? Might not say the particular details of it, but what was the main thing the author was trying to do? So let's look at an example so you can see. Okay, so we are going to read the question stem first because it is one of these general reading comprehension questions. And it says which choice best states the main purpose of the text. And I will read it. Jazz tap is a dance form that was first developed in African American communities. Jazz tap was heavily influenced by jazz music, which became widely popular in the United States in the 1920s. Tap dancers were inspired by jazz music's quick rhythms and by the way jazz musicians would make up melodies as they played. As jazz music continued to develop in the 1930s and 1940s, jazz tap evolved with it. Because of jazz music's influence, jazz tap quickly developed into a dance form that was very different from earlier kinds of tap dance. Notice you might not see the words jazz music or jazz tap in the answers, but instead it might be talking about a dance form, kinds of music, things like that. So that's what I mean about how main purpose, it's going to be more vague and it's not going to talk about the specifics, but you have to look at what was the author trying to do? Like what was their assignment? So pause, answer this question, and then I will give you all the answers at the end. Okay, so now the third type of question that I know you're going to come across on the August 23rd digital SAT is going to be a claims question. I mean, we always have claims questions, right? The evidence questions, they occur after the traditional reading comprehension questions. I know you're going to see, because it always asks at least one, is for you to illustrate an example or to illustrate the claim. Basically, illustrate as in give an actual example for what they were talking about. So let me show you what that could look like. Okay, so here we go. Now for these claims questions, again, we're going to read the question stem first to know what they're asking us to do. And the order of these claims questions, as you know, if you've been watching any of my videos, is that we read the question stem, we then we find what the claim is, right? And then we actually do what it's asking us to do. So which quotation from O Pioneers most effectively illustrates the claim? Cool. Now I'm going to read the text, and my task is to figure out what is the claim. So O Pioneers is a 1913 novel by Willa Cather. In the novel, Cather portrays Alexandra Bergson as having a deep emotional connection to her natural surroundings. So what's the claim? We just read it, but now take a second, pause, answer the question, and remember, I will give you all the answers at the end. Okay, so the fourth question type that I know you're going to see is going to be standard English conventions, i.e. grammar questions in the digital SAT's reading writing section. That shouldn't be a surprise. We have several of them in every single module of reading writing for every single digital SAT that you'll ever take, okay? But the concept that I know you're going to see this time is going to be about pronouns. Now, pronouns, those are words that take the place of nouns, right? Cool, like I, you, he, she, it, they, us, stuff like that. But now specifically, when you're dealing with pronouns, there are two main things you need to think about. The first one is, does it agree with the number? Right? What do I mean by that? Well, what is the pronoun taking the place of? If it's taking the place of dog, dog is singular. So it would be it, a singular pronoun. If it's taking the place of cats, cats is plural. So I would need a plural pronoun to take its place, they. Now, the other thing, in addition to the actual number, would be case. So case has to do with, well, is it taking the place of a subject? So like I. Is it taking the place of an object? I wouldn't say I in that case, I'd say me, right? Is action happening to the pronoun? But then there's another, and that is, oh, or is the pronoun possessive? Or is it a contraction? So like, would I say her, like belonging to a female? Or would I say she is, she's, SEHE apostrophe S? That would be a contraction. So, or would I say it's ITS or IT apostrophe S, right? Which would be it is, right? Would I use there, or there? THERE as in not here, THEIR as in belonging to them, or they apostrophe RE, they are. So all of those type of pronoun things, making sure it's either singular or plural and making sure it's the right case, and or if it's possessive or if it's a contraction. So keep all of those things in mind, and I will show you an example question. Okay, so here we go. In Marisol's 1968 sculpture, Mi Mama y Yo, gone are the types of pop culture references that made the Parisian-born Venezuelan American artist a star at the height of the pop art movement. In blank place is a far more personal subject, a sculptural depiction of the artist as a young girl with her mother. So pause, take a second, answer it, and the answer will be at the end of this video. And the fifth or final reading writing prediction that I'm going to include in this video for the August 23rd digital SAT is also a standard English convention question, but specifically around how to use a colon. Okay, colon, right? The two dots. So let me tell you the basics about colons and the common misconception, and then I'll show you an example. So the basics about a colon are this. There's really two main things that must be true to correctly use a colon. The first is you have to have a complete clause before the colon. In other words, whatever comes before the colon could stand on its own as its own sentence. Then you can have the colon, and then here's the second part. Anything can be on the right side of the colon. Maybe it's a list, maybe it's another complete sentence, maybe it's a phrase, maybe it's a dependent, maybe it's a single word. Anything can be on the right side so long as it explains, clarifies, or answers that first sentence that was on the left. So that is how you use a colon. Now, the common misconception that a lot of my students have before I work with them one-on-one to fix this is that they were told maybe in middle school, and they have this idea that, oh, well, if there's a list, I must use a colon. But that isn't exactly true. Yes, you can have a list following a colon, but that does not, in fact, mean that if there's a list, you must use a colon. And also, that doesn't mean that you can only use a colon if there's a list. You could use a colon and have anything come after it, so long as it explains, clarifies, or answers the complete sentence on the left. So let me show you an example so you can try it out yourself. Okay, here we go. Along with carbon dioxide concentration and temperature, light intensity affects the chemical reaction rate of photosynthesis. As light intensity increases, so does the rate at which the reactants, water and carbon dioxide, are converted into their products, glucose and oxygen. So I will give you a second, or you pause it rather, and then answers will be at the end. So those are my first 5 predictions, which are all going to be about things I think will be on the reading writing section of the August 23rd digital SAT. And now I have a question for you, and that is, are there any concepts you are dying to learn that I have not mentioned? Because put them in the comments. I will create content for you in the future if you do. While you're at it, go ahead and hit those like and subscribe buttons, because then that way you'll be the very first to know when I provide the latest updates, predictions, tips and tricks, and hacks for the SAT, the ACT, or college application essays. So now let's talk about the remaining 5 predictions, which I think you're going to see on the math section of the August 23rd digital SAT. The first one is going to be linear inequalities. But the trick is they're probably going to give it to you in the form of a word problem, and you have to convert it to an actual inequality, like convert the English to the math. When we are talking about inequalities, one thing to remember is when a word problem says the word at least, then that is going to be a greater than or equal to symbol. But when it's at most, like at most, it can be 100. That means it's going to be less than or equal to 100. Obviously, if it says less than something, you're using the less than symbol. If it says greater than something, you're using the greater than symbol. But the at least and at most, those are the two to keep in mind. So let me share my screen so you can give this one a try. Okay, so this one is going to be one where you produce your own answer. So an event planner is planning a party. It costs the event planner a one-time fee of $35 to rent the venue and $10.25 per attendee. The event planner has a budget of $300. What is the greatest number of attendees possible without exceeding the budget? So give this one a try. Remember, you cannot have partial people. I just gave you a hint. Pause, work on it, and then I will give you answers at the end. Okay, so the second math prediction I have, or prediction number 7 for this video, is going to have to do with geometric shapes where you have to convert a side or you have to use rates to convert something. And here is my big tip. Convert the side lengths or the actual dimensions of things first, then calculate the area, the volume, whatever they're asking you to do. If you don't do that, I promise you, we're going to end up getting some of it wrong. So let me show you an example. And then the example I'm going to show you, you're going to have to use a little bit of math problem solving because you're not necessarily going to know what some of the side lengths are, but you'll have enough to make yourself an example length and width that works with the problem and then convert each of them before you then calculate what they're asking you to calculate. So I gave you a hint there, but let me show you an example so you can try it out. Okay, the floor of a ballroom has an area of 600 square meters. An architect creates a scale model of the floor of the ballroom, where the length of each side of the model is 1/10 times the length of the corresponding side of the actual floor of the ballroom. What is the area in square meters of the scale model? So again, you're not given what the actual sides are, but you are given that you have an area of 600 square meters. Work backwards, figure out what is your length, your width. Then convert first, then calculate. Got it? So pause, try it out, answers at the end. Okay, my third math prediction, 8th prediction overall for this video, is going to be a tricky percent question that I think you will see on August 23rd, which, by the way, happens to be my birthday. Yes, first day of Virgo. So what I mean by tricky percents is you will need to be acutely aware of the differences between a percent of, a percent more than, or percent increase, or less than, or percent decrease, or a percent change. Reminder, if something is a percent of something, the word of always means multiply. So you'd have that percent times the thing. A percent increase, like if I'm increasing by 20%, that means I multiply by 1 plus 20% written as a decimal. So I would be multiplying by 1.2. If I'm doing a percent decrease, then I would be multiplying by 1 minus that percent as a decimal. So if I'm decreasing by 10%, I would multiply by 1 minus 0.1. So I'd multiply by 0.9. And then percent change is entirely different. For that, I would need the change, i.e. the final minus the original, divided by the original, and then multiplied by 100 to make it a percent. I'm going to show you a question now so that you can try out your knowledge of differentiating between percent of, percent increase decrease, and percent change. Here I go. So the result of increasing the quantity X by 1,800% is 684. What is the value of X? So pause this video, try it out. Answers will be at the end. Okay, so the 4th of the math predictions, the 9th of my total predictions for the August 23rd digital SAT, is that I bet you will see or have to utilize the equation of a circle on the coordinate plane. So just to refresh your memory, right? The equation involves knowing what the center of the circle is and knowing what the radius is. Specifically, if you have a center, h comma k, as in the x value of the center, comma the y value of the center, then your equation is going to be parentheses x minus h, the quantity squared, plus y minus k, the quantity squared, equals the radius squared. From there, if you were given an equation in that format, you work backwards. You're like, okay, cool. It's equal to 36. That's the radius squared. So what's the radius? Oh, it's x minus 3. Aha. The x part of the center is 3. Y plus 5. Aha. The y value of my center point is -5. There you go. You have the center, you have the radius, you can draw the circle. So let me give you an example so you can try it out. Which of the following equations represents a circle in the xy plane that intersects the y-axis at exactly 1 point? Here you go. Pause it, work on it, answers at the end. Okay, my final prediction for you for the August 23rd digital SAT is a math prediction, so my fifth math prediction, and this has to do with quadratic equations. And what do I think they might ask you? Well, they're going to ask you many things, but I bet you it is high time for a question about either the sum of the roots or the product of the roots. Now, how do you figure that out? So when you get a quadratic equation written out, so like something x squared plus something x plus or minus something, right, equals 0. When you get it in what we call standard form, ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, then if you were to find the product of the roots, all it is the c divided by the a. If you were going to do the sum of the roots, it's just that b coefficient, the coefficient before the x, it's negative b divided by the a. Yes, you could go and find out what your two factors are, then figure out what your two roots are, and then for the product, multiply, or for the sum, add them. Or you could literally do c divided by a for the product of the roots, negative b over a for the sum of the roots, and be done. So let me show you a question so you can give it a try. X times the quantity x plus 1 minus 56 equals 4x times the quantity x minus 7. And it asks, what is the sum of the solutions to the given equation? So pause, work it out, and then I'm about to tell you all the answers. Awesome. So did you do all the questions? Did you pause and actually give them a try? If so, here are the answers. So we had first the 5 reading writing questions. So the first one, the answer was C. The second one, the answer was B. The third one, the answer is A. The fourth, the answer is C. And the fifth, the answer is C. Now for the 5 math questions. So predictions numbers 6 through 10. So for prediction 6, the answer was 25. For prediction 7, the answer was A. For prediction 8, the prediction was D as in dog. For prediction 9, the answer was C as in cat. And for the last one we just saw about some of the roots, the answer, you could have written it as 29 thirds, so 29/3. You could have written it as 9.666 or 9.667. So I hope this was super helpful for you. I wish you the best of luck on your test. If you still want some more help, please check out my free masterclass of the 3 biggest mistakes to avoid on the digital SATs reading writing section and how to fix them. So check it out in the link below. Best of luck to you on the test.